Okay. Hello. Let's try again. Right, I'm hoping that you can all log out of the last one that wasn't working and log back in again. Hopefully you'll come back. Okay, there's one person. Yay! Basically, if you've just tuned in and you either missed the last one or you have no idea what's going on, it wouldn't let me see any comments, but I've just fixed it. The tech guru that I am. Where I had said that it was appropriate content for children, which I thought was a normal thing to do, it then wouldn't let me see any of the comments, but we're up and running now, guys. So I'll just wait for you all to come back. Hey, Melissa, hi, brilliant. Okay, good, it's working. See, knew there'd be some teething problems. That's cool. Okay, I'll just wait for some people to join because obviously I just booted everybody out of the last one and there were more people than this. So we'll just wait a couple of minutes and then we'll get started. So, how are you all? Long time no see. I mean, obviously I've seen some of you, but yeah, long time no bake along see. Feels weird, doesn't it? Because I can't remember when the last one was, a while ago. End of June, maybe? But yeah. So we're starting off basic, way more for me than for you, just so I can get back into the rhythm of doing a bake along. Right. If you're baking along, can you just say hi and then I'll start? Oh, okay. Mary's here. That's fine. You can stay as the Burston Brickworks. We'll work it out for next time. Okay. Shall I start? I feel like I should start. I was just going to wait a bit because obviously before we were doing them on Facebook and Instagram and we've completely just changed whatever this is called, platform. We've changed platform. So I'm just going to wait and see. Okay, Abby's here. Hi. Guys who are here, was it fairly easy to find? We found it really easily, but obviously I knew what I was looking for, so it's slightly different. Who knows? Also, my face is so close. I'm so sorry. Right. Okay. I think I'm going to start. Abby said it was easy to find. Okay, cool. I think I'm going to start and then people can catch up. It's really, this one's not hard. Mary said, yes, and I'm technically challenged. Never. So making scones. It's very exciting. These are really, really, really easy. So I'm assuming you've all got your ingredients weighed out. Ready and raring to go. Actually, whilst we're just waiting to see if anybody else does join, I didn't put this on the post. You need a flat baking tray and just a piece of parchment to put it on. So if you haven't got that, if you just get that sorted, and then we'll start once you've done that. So just let me know once you're ready. Just getting a cup to crack my egg in. I'll just wait for you to get a tray and then we'll go from there. Oh. Okay. What temp do you need the oven on? I haven't got that far yet, Abby. Okay. I'm assuming you've all got your trays by now, so I'm just going to crack on. So I washed my hands just before I came onto here, so time to wash your hands if you haven't already. And then all you need is our trusty mixing bowl and your ingredients, which I'll go through as we put them in. Yeah, so that's it. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to put our baking tray in the oven with nothing on it. So we're going to set our our oven to 200 degrees. Oh, Mary, you're gas mark, aren't you? I think that's 5. I forgot to check. I'm so sorry. It's 4 or 5. Okay, so you need to put your baking tray in the oven at 200 degrees. I'm just going to look up what 200 degrees is for Mary, because says gas mark 6, but I would say go gas mark 5. 6 sounds quite high. I mean, don't trust me. Anyway, so let's get cracking. We're basically just going to put everything in the bowl. So you need your tray in the oven at 200 degrees, and then we're going to go and put our ingredients in. So I've set my scales to 0 with my bowl on top. We've got 300 grams of self-raising flour. Straight in. If you're making cheese scones or savoury scones, leave out the sugar section. But if you're making plain or fruit scones, then add 3 dessert spoons of caster sugar. I'm going to reset my scales. 85 grams of unsalted butter, softened. If you haven't softened it, if you forgot to soften it, just pop it in the microwave for 10 to 15 seconds. A teaspoon of baking powder. And then 175 mils of any milk you want. Oh, Katie's here. Hi, Katie. So any milk you want, straight into here. Like so. So in your mixing bowl, you should have 350 grams of self-raising flour, 3 dessert spoons of caster sugar, unless you're making savoury scones, in which case you've omitted that bit, a teaspoon of baking powder, 85 grams of softened unsalted butter, and 175 mils of milk. If you did the bake-alongs before, you'll know that I don't like getting my hands messy, so I'm going to be a big baby and just mix this with a spoon. So I'm just literally going to combine it together as best I can. So I'm going to show you, I don't know if you can see, I almost like to press the butter like down, and that's how it starts to combine. Does that make sense? So you're just going to bring it all together basically and start to form, a mixture. I don't want to say a dough because I don't really think it's like a dough, is it? I don't know I don't know. Yeah. I'm so sorry, I just laughed at my own joke. That's terrible. So we're just going to combine this together. You can use your hands for this if you want, but like I said, not a fan. It's not for me, getting the old really messy hands. We are going to have to go in with our hands eventually, but I like to combine as much of it as I can with a spoon before that point. So I'll come and show you. Mine is basically like this. It doesn't really look particularly combined. So what I'm going to do is put some flour down. Sorry, what's someone saying? Okay. Put it down just to flour my surface. If I move this, you'll be able to see a bit better, won't you? There we go. And then we're going to tip this out, and we're just going to bring it into like a nice mixture. So when I do this, you'll feel when you start doing it, it feels like gritty and grainy. That's the flour and the sugar. What you want to do is work it so that it feels relatively smooth. Add the flour as you go. Don't put like all of this down because you don't want a dry mixture. And I don't know if you remember from before, flour your hands more than the surface. So I'm going to put a little bit on here like that. Yeah, you can see. I'm I'm going to tip this out like so. Bring it together, and then I'm going to flour my hands like that. Okay, and then all we're going to do is just literally bring this together. So I mean, almost just squash it down, like bring it together and squash it down like this. Now, if you touch it, you'll be able to feel that it's not smooth at all. So just keep bringing it together. If it was like a bread dough, you would do a slightly different kind of like kneading texture. So I'm just going to flour my board just a little bit more because it's starting to pick up the flour and I don't want it to stick. So just keep going. As you can see, I just floured my hands again. So because it's got basically warm butter in it, there'll be like lumps of butter. We need to get this smooth so that there's not lumps of butter, there's not lumps of flour, there's not anything like separated, it's all combined. So it doesn't take long. I learned from last time that it takes me a little bit quicker than you guys, but you should end up with that, which is a smooth dough, yeah, or a mixture, whatever you want to call it. Okay, I'm just going to wash my hands and then I'm going to come and see how you guys are doing, because I appreciate you need to catch up and then wash your hands so that you can type. So just wash my hands and I'll be back. Don't tell Boris that I didn't sing happy birthday. Right, so whilst I'm just waiting for you guys to catch up and get your mixture like smoothish and into one big ball, I'm going to talk to you about cutters. So I've got two size cutters here. This one I would say is the size of a glass, like a normal drinking glass. It's the next size up. This is the size I use for afternoon tea. And this is the size that I use not for afternoon tea. I'm going to use the big one today, but if you want to use the small one, you absolutely can. It's entirely up to you. I'll just let you know the cooking times to adjust them depending on what size you've used. If you don't have a cutter, you can either get a glass and cut round it with a knife. You could use a glass. I mean, anything round. I mean, you can get scones in any shape as well. I've seen square scones. So, you know, whatever you've got that you can use to cut, crack on. I use stuff that's unconventional all the time. A wine glass, for example. Yeah, anything you've got, that's fine. We just need to amend the cooking time slightly. So if you just remember that the small one is the size of a glass, and this is the next size up. So it's that much bigger, not a lot bigger. Okay. Fun fact for you scone fans. Allegedly, I don't do this, but allegedly fluted cookie cutters, which are the ones with like these ridges in, I think they're supposed to be for sweet scones, so plain scones and fruit scones. And then like flat ones, the ones with no ridging on, they're for savoury scones. So there you go. I don't do that. I use the same for everything. But yeah, so if you're adding, like, oven's ready. If you're adding cheese or sultanas or whatever you want, I mean, people make all different sorts of flavors. Oh, okay, so Abby's doing cheese. Right, so Abby, you shouldn't have added the sugar. It's not the end of the world if you did, to be honest. So now that you've got your ball, you need to add your grated cheese. You're going to ask me how much, aren't you? 50 grams? I mean, I eyeball it, but I'd say 50 grams max. So just add your cheese, and you just want to kind of combine it in there as best you can. And then get yourself back to the ball situation. And then, yeah, she said, that's handy because Sainsbury's only had flat ones and I'm doing cheese. Well, look at you. I mean, I think that's the right way around. It might be the other way around. I can't remember. But basically, you're a scone pro. Yeah, so that's the only facts I know about scones, is that you should use a different cutter, and I ignored it and didn't do it. Anyway, so we'll just wait for Abby to add her cheese. I'm guessing the rest of you are good to go. So what we'll do in a minute is once she's added her cheese, we'll cut the scones. So I'll just tell you what we're going to do whilst we wait for Abby. So we don't need a rolling pin. We're just going to flatten it out with our hands to the thickness that we want, which I'll show you. And then you're going to cut out your scones, and you want it to come, I'll do it over here because you can see, you want it to come about, oh, that's the wrong side, about 2/3 of the way up your cutter. And that'll give you a decent sized scone. You don't want it to come all the way out because don't forget, they're going to rise. We added a leavening agent, which was our baking powder, and we added a leavening flour. We added self-raising flour, so ours are going to rise quite significantly. If we wanted them to rise less, we could have just added plain flour, but who wants them to rise less? Not me. So yeah, hopefully Abby's all right. So we'll start cutting and we'll go from there. So can you see I'm literally just pressing it down. Just going to add a tiny bit of flour underneath because I want to be able to get them off of my work surface. So I'm not very good with sizes. I would say that's what, like an inch and a half. And then, can you see that? Can you see it's not at the top? It's like 2/3 of the way. And that is number 1. Okay? So if you're using the smaller cutter or like a glass, you should get 8 or 9. I get about 5 with the bigger one. So, you know, if you end up with 13, your dough's not thick, it's not high enough, you need to re-roll it. Okay? Or cook for less time. To be fair, cook for less time is probably your better option. Oh yeah, sorry. Okay, yeah, if you're making fruit ones, you added them when you added the cheese. Sorry, Melissa. Yes. I can't remember if I said, basically, you'd be better off not re-rolling your dough because the more flour you add, the drier it gets. So I've just recombined it, pressed it down, cut it out. And then I get about 5 with the bigger cutter. So I'm just going to do this last one. Like that. That is 5. For a second I thought it was 4, but I can count. I've got a bit left over. I will put that in the oven, but it won't take as much time to bake. Right, I'm coming back. Okay. So you all seem pretty quiet, which usually means you're all okay. So I'm assuming everybody apart from Abby are doing sweet scones, whether it's got sultanas in or nothing. So Abby, I'll tell you now because otherwise I'll forget. Once we egg wash them, if you want to sprinkle a bit of cheese on the top of yours, then you can. You don't have to. I do. Mainly so I can tell the difference between plain and cheese ones. But yeah, so that's fine. Right, let me know when you're ready to go, guys, and we will do some egg washing. Oh, also, another thing that I learned recently is that you're not supposed to egg wash scones. Again, I ignored that information because who wants an anemic scone? They look so much better brown. We're not doing that. We're egg washing. If you don't have an egg, though, you can use milk. It doesn't give the same colour at all, but it does do the job. Right. I'm just going to crack my egg into my cup whilst we wait. Okay. Oh, also, top tip for you, if you ever get shell in whatever you've broken your egg into, if you use the egg to get it out, it sticks to itself, so you don't end up like chasing it around with a spoon for 15 years. I didn't crack any egg in, so I'm good. Any shell in? Right. I'm going to just move these this way so that you can see what I'm doing. That's better. Okay, how are we doing, guys? You ready? I have no idea. Let's see. You haven't said anything. Okay, I'm going to egg wash, and then I can come and chat to you. So, we're going to brush the top of the scone, and then I mean, this is probably really upsetting to the people who said you should never egg wash a scone. I'm going to go around the sides as well, because I like it to look golden. I like it to look like it's got a nice golden colour. So I'm going to go like this. I'll do this one so you can see. I'm going to go like this, and then I'm just going to, just roughly, just go around the edges. But I like to make sure the top is all definitely covered, and then just briefly around the edges. You don't want to put too much egg wash on, you don't want a soggy scone. Nobody wants a soggy scone. You just want enough so that it colours whilst it's in the oven. These aren't going in for very long. They take about 10 minutes. You're very quiet. Whilst I wait for you, imagine if you've all just left. You haven't, I can see that some of you are still there. Whilst I wait for you, I'm just going to explain to you why we put the tray in the oven, because obviously normally that's not something that you would do. You wouldn't put something onto a hot tray or a hot tin. With baking, with cooking you might, but with baking you wouldn't. So what we've done is we've heated up the tray so that when we put the scones on, they start cooking immediately from the bottom, so that they cook evenly. And what it will mean is when you take them off, they should have like a nice brown coloured like base, which I'll show you. Hopefully mine will do. So that's why we heat the tray up. If we put them on a cold tray and put them in, they wouldn't cook as evenly, and they wouldn't end up with that like brown base that you see on scones. Well, most of the time. You should see it all of the time. So if you go somewhere and it's not got a brown base, you can say, well, you didn't heat your pan up. You should have done. Don't say that to them, that's really bad. But yeah, so that's why. Okay. I mean, guys, are you okay? You've all gone absolutely silent. No idea. It's just me chatting. Oh, okay. Oh, okay, you're all here. Okay, fine. You're all good. Okay, so we're ready to go in the oven. So you're going to get your hot tray out of the oven. Obviously, if you're a small person, please use either oven gloves or ask an adult to help you. We're going to put them on our baking parchment and then into the oven. So, just grabbing my oven gloves. Okay. Right, so I'm going to get mine out of the oven. If you do the same, if you did the bacon rolls previously and you did cookies, you'll know that we had to have them like really spaced out because we had to allow for spread. These are not going to spread that way. They should just rise. So you don't need to make sure that you've left a massive gap. I mean, equally don't right next to each other, but you don't need to leave. You don't have to worry about that. So I'll get mine out and I'll add mine on. So I've got my hot tray, my baking parchment. Then I'm going to add my scones, which you can see. Let me just move that. So I've got 5, so I'm going to just spread them out like that. I'll put this little one here like that. And that's it. So we're going to go in the oven. Right, so I'm going to pop mine in. And we're going to set for 10 minutes. I told you I'd forget to say put cheese on. If you're doing cheese, sprinkle cheese on. Okay, so who's doing the like normal size scone, the size that I said is like a similar size to the glass? Because if you are, after 10 minutes, you should be cooked. If you're doing the same size as me, we'll need a little bit longer. Can't work out if YouTube comments are just way slower than the other comments. Who knows? Not me. Okay, Abby's doing glass size. Right, so in 10 minutes, you should be done. I'll show you. I think it's this size. Yeah, so it's like that sort of size. It's very similar. So if you used that size glass, then 10 minutes should be plenty. So we'll check in 10 minutes. Thanks so much for joining me, guys. Always makes my week go. I always look forward to the bake along. So the reason I had to move it to a Tuesday is because we're going to do these in December, and hopefully Boris will allow us to open. So if that's the case, I will be at the shop on a Thursday. So I had to move them to Tuesday, and I thought, wow, I don't want to confuse everybody. So we'll just do them from a Tuesday from the get-go. Okay, Melissa used a glass size as well. Okay, fine. So we'll check Abby and Melissa's in 10 minutes. Mine might need a bit longer. Yeah. So yeah, we're going to do them. Obviously, these 4 weeks. Is it 4 weeks now? I don't even know where we are. The rest of this lockdown, hopefully Boris will let us back to work, or let me back to work, in which case we'll still do them, but it obviously won't be as lockdowny for me because I'll be able to go to work. Okay. Oh, you all did small ones. Okay, that's fine. So we can check yours then, and it will just be me who's not ready. Story of my life. So that's fine. So, well, where did I put it? Here. I've got my trusty skewer. So with scones, sometimes you can tell that they're just baked by looking at them, but sometimes they're sneaky and they look baked and they're not. So we're going to just insert a skewer into the middle scone on the tray, because that's the one that would take the longest to bake. And if it comes out, then it's fine. If it comes out with nothing on it, they're very sticky on the inside. So you'll know if it comes out and it kind of drags out and it's got sticky dough on it, then it's not cooked and you need to put it back in for a bit longer. But like I said, they don't take long overall. You're looking at 10 to 12 minutes. If they're not cooked, don't put them back in for 5 minutes. You're better off doing 1 or 2 minutes and checking again than going for 5 and they'll come out really dry, which nobody wants. So yeah, that's it. So we'll just wait for them to bake and then we're done. So obviously you can eat what you want with these. You can have cream, jam, butter. If you've made the cheese ones, you can just have butter. Wouldn't recommend cream. And then you can do so many variations. So, like, I mean, people have lavender scones, don't they? People have all different types of scone flavors. So I think really, if I'm honest, you're only limited by your imagination. Like, if the texture that you're putting into the oven is that texture, you can't really mess it up. Yeah. So that's it, really. Yeah. So yeah, you could do what you want. I mean, I haven't really tried any others, but I feel like chocolate orange might be an option. Okay, Abby's making plain ones too. You do that. So you can freeze these. Plain fruit scones freeze really, really well. Cheese scones less so. And then you can either just put them straight in the microwave or let them defrost naturally. And then they keep in an airtight container for a couple of days. They're best eaten on the day that they're made. They don't last amazingly. You can't keep them for a week, but you can freeze them, and when you defrost them, they taste as good as day one. Because I know from experience, that's a question that you love to ask me, is how long will these last and can I freeze them? So I've learnt to come prepared. Right, how long have we got left? Oh, we're halfway. I need to speak to like Mr. YouTube and find out how that I can make these comments bigger, because I have to have my face so close to you guys, which, is not ideal. For you, it doesn't make a difference to me, I can't see. But yeah. Did you sprinkle cheese on the top of yours, Abby? Also, lols, there's like 4 of us, which is so funny, because obviously schools aren't kicked out this time and people aren't furloughed. So it's just literally 4 of us chilling. But weirdly, last time I used to think like 15 of us did the bake along. So many people have said to me they did the bake along, and I think, well, but you didn't, your numbers didn't show. So I don't know where they were coming from, but I'm very grateful. Abby did put cheese on. Amazing. Cool. Out of interest, how many did you all get out of your mixture? I said 9, didn't I? Just wait for you to hopefully come back. Oh, 6. Interesting. Well, yours might take as long as mine then, Abby, because I've got like 5.5. Yeah. Yours might be quite high, so they might take a bit longer. Everyone else is ignoring me. Don't know where they've gone. Yeah. So really, that's all I have on scone facts and just general scone chat. Festive bake-alongs, obviously for December, which I think is like, I can't remember what the dates are. I think the first one's the 1st or the 2nd. We're going to do festive stuff, which if you know me, you'll know that I'm going to absolutely enjoy, because I love Christmas, even though this Christmas is going to be a bit different for everybody. I refuse to be grinchy about it. Mary's just written, I fear mine might be very flat. I got 14. Oh dear. Okay, so Mary, maybe check yours after like 8 minutes, because it doesn't matter if they're flat. That's not the issue. You just don't want them to dry out. Oh, look at Melissa with her perfect 9. Well done, Melissa. Yeah, so Mary, just check yours in a minute, because they won't, if you open the other door, they won't sink. So you're better off just checking them. Otherwise, yeah, you don't want dry scones. And Abby, I also added a bit of wholemeal flour to mine. You do you.